A disturbing discovery was made in Colorado's South St. Vrain Canyon on June 4, 2006. Not far from Lyons, a decomposing body was discovered by hikers. The scene created an enigmatic image. It appears as though the woman's body was pulled from a shallow grave, probably by a feral animal. A sleeping bag, a pillow in its case, and a pair of yellow ski pants were all carefully folded nearby. Her fingerprints could not be used to identify her due to her state of decomposition. Only one clue, which was a single cross ring, was discovered with her. Who was this woman, and what terrible circumstances might have resulted in her demise? Hello and welcome back to Mystery Detective, where we delve into sinister mysteries pertaining to both resolved and unresolved cases worldwide. Colorado's Boulder County is home to a diversified population that flourishes in the area's scenic beauty. The area is well known for combining historic and recreational sites, providing people with a well-rounded way of life. Living here means taking advantage of outdoor pursuits, such as hiking trails and historic sites. The neighborhood is renowned for its unity and is friendly and inviting. Boulder County does not, however, come without difficulties, just like many other places. Although generally low, there have been some dark periods in the crime rate. The June 4, 2006, Angela Wild cold case is one instance of such an incident. This case was an enigma that went unsolved for more than 10 years. A group of hikers decided to explore the beautiful trails close to Lyons in the South St. Vrain Canyon of Colorado on a seemingly ordinary day on June 4, 2006. They had no idea that their journey would result in a finding that would confound the locals and the police for years to come. They came upon a grisly sight as they continued their journey down the canyon. A decaying body not far from the trail was spotted. The bleak reality of what was ahead of them abruptly eclipsed the canyon's serene beauty. The hikers promptly notified the authorities, who promptly arrived to conduct an investigation. After a more thorough investigation, deputies and investigators concluded that the remains belonged to a female. The way the body was positioned and the surrounding evidence pointed to it having been buried in a shallow grave at first, and then discovered by a wild animal that was probably attracted to the smell. Personal items such as a sleeping bag, pillow and matching pillowcase, and a pair of yellow ski pants were arranged neatly not far from the grave. These objects, which didn't appear to have been damaged by the weather, created a spooky image of the woman's last moments. For the investigators, this advanced state of decomposition presented a major challenge. Conventional identification techniques, like fingerprint analysis, were ineffective. A cross ring discovered with the body was the only item that could have provided a hint as to who the woman was. This jewelry, which might have sentimental significance, turned into the center of the inquiry. Seeking to learn the truth, the sheriff's office made contact with the coroner's office to request assistance. It was challenging to determine the precise cause of death, though, due to the state of the body. Even though there were no obvious injuries, such as gunshot wounds, stab wounds, or broken bones, foul play was a strong possibility. In light of the condition of the remains, the coroner was unable to rule out more heinous methods, such as strangulation, even in the absence of such injuries. The discovery of a white, powdery substance on the body and surrounding the grave added to the mystery. This white powdery substance was determined by lab testing to be calcium oxide, also referred to as quicklime. When it comes into contact with moisture, this substance produces heat and causes decomposition more quickly. This quicklime, which weighed about 50 pounds, covered the body of the victim and penetrated the ground surrounding the grave about 14 inches down. Its presence indicated an intentional act and suggested a deliberate attempt to accelerate the body decomposition process. The shallow grave, the well-folded items, and the application of quicklime all suggested a hurried attempt to hide the crime. Even though the body showed evidence of animal predation, the case was made even more confusing by the absence of any other obvious injuries. There were a lot of unanswered questions in the community. They wondered who the woman was and who would want to hurt her. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office moves quickly after learning of the body's location. Aware of the seriousness of the situation and the demand for public support, they made contact and asked anyone who had information to come forward. The reaction was tremendous. Numerous tips were received, many of which pointed to missing women from across the nation. The overwhelming amount of these tips created a dismal image, emphasizing the concerning number of missing women nationwide as well as in the metro area. Devoted Boulder County Sheriff's Officer Jason Oakers thought back on the emotional cost of the investigation. He talked about the heartbreaking reality of thousands of women going missing and the suffering their families went through while they searched for answers. Every tip could lead to something, a potential resolution to a family's worst fear. Every name was thoroughly investigated by the sheriff's office, leaving no detail unexplored. To help with their investigation, the sheriff's office worked with other agencies. They made use of resources from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. The group's goal was to cross-reference information and reduce the number of possible identities for the victim. Luckily, a breakthrough occurred in October of 2006. A woman brought her alarming report to the attention of the Longmont Police Department. It had been a while since she'd seen her friend, whom she called Angela Wiles. Her account of Angela's death was remarkably similar to the corpse discovered in the canyon. She even mentioned a unique ring that matched the cross ring discovered with the remains and that Angela frequently wore. Investigators looked further into Angela Wild's past using this lead. They learned that Angela was from the Longmont community. The friend's physical description matched the features of the body, confirming the possible match even more. Science was called upon by the sheriff's office to verify the identity. They carried out a DNA analysis in November of 2006. In order to obtain conclusive evidence, they compared samples from 4 Angela Wild's sisters with rib bones found in her remains. The outcomes were definitive. It is confirmed that the 38-year-old body discovered in the South St. Vrain Canyon belongs to Angela Wilds of the Longmont, Colorado area. On February 28, 1968, Angela Josephine Wilds, better known as Angela J. Garcia, was born. There is no denying the lasting impression she made on everyone who knew her, even though the precise location of her birth and the identities of her parents are still a mystery. The address that Angela called home was 214 East State Avenue in Longmont, Colorado. Tammy Benson, one of her sisters, at last recalled Angela. She described Angela as a beacon of love and kindness, someone who had the natural ability to brighten any space with her warmth and sincere concern for other people. Her family wasn't the only ones who had these feelings. Her laughter was contagious, and her generosity were often mentioned by her Longmont neighbors and friends. Like all of us, Angela had passions, dreams, and aspirations. She was distinctive in her own right, with peculiar hobbies and traits. She clearly had a contagious zest for life, even though the details of her passion were kept private. She was a firm believer in living in the now, seizing each opportunity, and sharing love with everyone she met. Angela led a nomadic lifestyle without a fixed address or a regular job. Rather, she depended on the generosity of friends, frequently taking shelter on their couches. Because of her nomadic lifestyle, investigators had a difficult time piecing together her final days. Life is unpredictable. Nobody in Longmont could have predicted the tragic course of events that June of 2006, especially her loved ones. At the age of 38, Angela passed away suddenly. In order to learn more about Angela's life, detectives spoke with a wide range of her acquaintances, family, and friends. Still, there was mystery surrounding her last days. The identification of Angela's ski pants through DNA analysis at the crime scene provided a crucial lead. There was, however, more. Additionally, the same ski pants contained DNA from an unidentified male. 3 years after her remains were discovered, on January 22, 2009, another noteworthy event took place. Using DNA evidence, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation connected a man known as John Angerer to the crime scene. Investigators started looking into any possible connection between Angerer and Angela after receiving this lead. When they asked around, they learned that a number of people had seen the two together in late 2005 and early 2006. Detectives in Anchorage, Alaska, located Angerer and conducted an interview with him in August 2009. He talked about his early 2006 travels and mentioned that he had gone to a dive school in Texas, after which he spent some time residing in Colorado, in cities like Longmont, Canyon City, and Monte Vista. Shortly after, he moved to Alaska by August. When Angerer was asked about Angela Wild and shown her photo, he denied ever knowing anything about her. In a follow-up interview with the Boulder County Sheriff's Office in September, he restated this position once more, even refuting any knowledge of the South St. Vrain neighborhood where Angela's body was found. However, family members claimed Angerer frequently visited a cave in the South St. Vrain area, refuting his claims. He used to camp and hike near this cave, which is only a few miles from Lyons. His sister even related an incident in which she dropped him off right next to the site where Angela's bones would eventually be discovered. Angerer's buccal swab was obtained, and it was compared to the DNA discovered at the crime scene in order to confirm the link. The outcomes were instructive. The main profile inside the sleeping bag and on the pillowcase was Angerer's DNA. Born on July 28, 1969, John Michael Angerer is still a mysterious figure in the cold case of Angela Wild. As of 2023, Angerer is clearly more than just a name in a case file, even though specifics about his early life, like his parents' names and place of birth, are still unknown. Even though the public hasn't been privy to much of Angerer's personal history, such as his upbringing, education, and family life, it's important to keep in mind that he wasn't an isolated individual. His actions were probably influenced by a variety of personal struggles and experiences, especially those that preceded his involvement in Angela Wild's case. Regarding his criminal past, details of any crimes he may have committed in the past are unknown. In 2010, an arrest warrant for Angerer was prepared, marking the start of the investigation. He was being held in an Alaskan prison at the time for violating his probation. The Fort Collins Coloradoan stated that following a preliminary hearing in July 2010, a judge dismissed the case in spite of the growing body of evidence. The reason is that there isn't enough proof to link Angerer specifically to the crime. But when multiple acquaintances described Angerer's volatile nature, the story took a turn. Some even reported disturbing stories about him attempting to strangle his ex-girlfriends. He seemed to become extremely angry at the name Angela. After reviewing the case in 2015, a pathologist concluded that asphyxiation was most likely the cause of Angela's death, given the circumstances. The disclosure took on even greater significance in light of Angerer's purported history of strangulation. When we fast forward to 2023, the story takes on yet another turn. Anger's ex-girlfriend, who had earlier denied any violent behavior from him, disclosed that Anger had choked her several times while they were dating. This information, along with other evidence and witness statements, painted a disturbing picture of Anger's involvement. Anger and Angela were both identified by witnesses as being at the Bar El Motel in Longmont, Colorado, at the time of the crime. Another piece of the puzzle was added when the motel records confirmed their stay. Authorities presented their findings to a grand jury in February 2023 based on this growing body of evidence. On March 9, 2023, John Anger was indicted. This was a turning point after many years. 53-year-old John Michael Anger was taken into custody in Anchorage, Alaska, in relation to the case of Angela Josephine Wild. The investigation of Angela Wild's cold case has required tenacity, fortitude, and an unwavering pursuit of justice. As he considered the development, Boulder County Sheriff Curtis Johnson said, "I'm happy that we were able to advance our investigation into Angela Wild's case. I'm really proud of our detectives because they didn't give up on this unsolved case. Angela's family has been looking forward to this day, and as we move forward, they continue to be in our efforts." The way the case has developed has given Angela's family hope and created new research opportunities. The question of whether John Anger was involved in any other unsolved crimes in Alaska and Colorado is still being investigated. Anyone with information about this case is encouraged to come forward by the authorities. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office's Detective Mike McKinley can be reached at 303-441-4692. Angela's sister, Tammy Benson, has been a rock of strength during this whole ordeal. She expressed her hopes for the upcoming trials, saying, "I hope this time, the courts, the judge, and everyone involved truly listens. He needs to take responsibility for his actions now." Tammy remembers Angela as a kind and loving person, and her memories of her sister are warm and fuzzy. The decision to charge Anger again for the second time was a big deal. Tammy felt like the prosecutors had finally heard her pleas. What are your thoughts on this case? Tell us what you think by leaving a comment. To help us grow, kindly like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, be careful and vigilant in anticipation of the next mystery to be unraveled. Thank you for watching.